Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. This is episode 122. We're joined by a familiar face. You know who they are. Jasmine Sherman. Yes, you heard that right. Jasmine Sherman is running for president of the United States. If you want to go check out Sherman's episodes with me, Kiko's Freethinkers Forum, you can go to our original episode 45. That was the first one. The second one was episode 61. And then Jasmine joined us for the presidential forum, which is technically episode 82. It's not labeled as such, but you kind of get the picture if you go through the archives. And we also interviewed Jasmine's vice presidential candidate, Tanda Blue Bear, on episode 102. And today, this episode 122 should be just as dynamic as the previous episodes. I'm excited because I have a lot of questions for Jasmine, running under the Green Party banner, the Peace and Freedom Party, and they've already secured the Unicorn Party banner. So I want to ask a lot of questions about that. I have just, in general, ballot access questions, questions about affiliations, even some bio information. As Jasmine started Greater Charlotte Rise, which is a 501c3, and I don't think we really got into detail about what that organization does. And so I'm curious, and I think my audience is also curious about some of that work. And if previously not mentioned, Jasmine also obtained a master's of finance at the University of Phoenix. And so we've covered some of the biographical information previously, but I just want to say welcome to the show. And I can't wait to have this conversation with you. A lot to talk about today.
I'm glad to be here. I've been here so many times. I'm starting to think I'm your favorite. I mean, you are unbiased journalist. You are an unbiased journalist. I'm saying you always keep it harsh. I mean, not harsh. You keep it brief, keep it cute. But I'm starting to think I'm your favorite. One of your favorites.
Wow, that's interesting. I will say this much. Full disclosure, you all know that I'm not going to give any endorsements to people, but obviously I have to like you to bring you back on the show. I mean, that's kind of.
I either gotta be good for your audience, hate or whatever. I mean, even Kim Iverson had to bring me on her show. Even
Really?
Oh, she was pissed. She was pissed. She was mad because she was like, "Yeah, you didn't see that interview. If you go to the clips." So I don't know. Like she got so mad because the way I was dressed. It's on YouTube. Is this person crazy? Like, yeah, I went on Kim Iverson's show because what people don't
put that in the headline.
Yeah. Because she didn't like the way I was dressed. You see, I cut like what people don't understand is I'm a regular person. Even when I went to work at Bank of America and Wells Fargo and all the other financial institutions, I worked in IT. I didn't have to show up in a suit. I'm not like a customer facing person. My customer are the people at the bank. My customers are people that are moving your money every day. I work in IT. IT people dress comfortably. And when I'm working in the community, I'm dressed comfortably. I'm not in a fucking suit. And so because I really work in my community, I'm dressed to work. I'm dressed often in a hoodie. I'm often dressed in like something that lets me do my work in my community. And she just did not, she scheduled an interview last minute on a travel day. You get what you get. I'm a grassroots candidate. I do not have a makeup team that runs with me. Like if we know we'll get a makeup person to be there. You get what I'm saying? Like we do all these things to be in a position to look great. But this is a small funded campaign. I didn't realize before I went on C-SPAN for my debate, the debate I did for Free and Equal, I am one of the top 10 funded candidates across the country. There's over 2,000 people running for president of the United States. But me being who I was from where you met me all them months ago, years ago now, I've worked my way up. I've been doing this. And so I always laugh about people like Kim Iverson or people who work for like Jill Stein's campaign and stuff like that. You're seeing a 38-year-old kick people who have been in this game's butt. I've just got it. This is my first cycle of elections. They have been doing this for years. And if I'm able to produce this much with none of the resources, none of the education, right? Imagine what we could do if people put something behind us.
So you brought up something interesting. I didn't know anything about this, and I'm sure that there's going to be some other stuff that comes up that the audience is more or less in the know about, which is about the Landback, the back and forth between the Brittany Jones. Like I want to get into that a little bit later on towards the end.
So we can, but I want to keep it cute. I have never spoken to that lady. Like outside of that debate, that is an individual lying about me for clout. But I would love to have that conversation.
No, I won't do it as not to highlight Brittany. It's simply because she implicated your name, and so I think it's right for you to be able to defend yourself. That's the reason why I brought that up in the first place,
Oh,
because
no, I
she name dropped you several times, and so I thought it was only fitting for me to
oh,
share that part of the clip.
I appreciate that. I can address her clip. I got no problem with that. I mean, I'd talk about me too if I wasn't doing what I wanted to do with my political career.
But I did want to get some clarity on the Kim Iverson. So she's working for a fact for the Jill Stein campaign?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
She's a pundit like everybody else. She got her own show. She had Jill Stein on, she had RFK on, and she had me on. The reason people have to have me on is because I continue to win the debates. Like, as much as people are complaining about me or my ideas, the public wants what I'm talking about. The public is how I continue to beat other people. And so Kim Iverson had to have me on her show because I won the debate on national television.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You're referring to the free and equal elections.
mhm. They
Absolutely. And we followed it closely. And we were honestly very happy that you qualified for that because, being one of the first people to interview you before your name was really growing, that made me feel good. Not saying that had anything to do with it, but it was just cool to
You
see a
sure did
familiar
have
face.
something to do with it. Without Kikyo's free thinking forum, other people wouldn't have thought I was a serious candidate. You 100%. I told you back then, media like yours is the media that I try to covet. You are telling people real things. You have nothing to lose, so you have no reason not to tell the truth. Even the fact that you was like, hey, somebody was talking about you. I should bring that into your attention. That's good journalism. That's fair. There's nothing about my record that I shouldn't be able to answer to. And so I am grateful to your show. I am grateful for you taking the time to interview me. I love that free and equal bake because that was something I got added last. I was one of the last candidates added to that. I was given the least amount of support and I still came out on top. So I'd love to talk about my accomplishments.
Yeah, that was amazing. There was a lot of competition, and that was wonderful. A lot of the people I've interviewed, but you qualified for that debate alongside Chase Oliver, someone else I interviewed Jill Stein too. I interviewed pretty much everyone on that stage, with the exception of Lawrence Mapstead, I think, and Claudia De La Cruz, but everyone else I had interviewed on that stage. But regardless, I wanted to talk a little bit about your organization, Greater Charlotte Rise. Just if you want to briefly explain what that is to the audience, because I think that's really important.
I will, but I want to be clear because Greater Charlotte Rise is a 501c3. I cannot politically endorse myself. So I will talk about my nonprofit organization that I keep very, very separate from my political campaign.
Gotcha.
But right now in Charlotte, North Carolina, for years I had been supporting 33% of the house's population through my mutual aid organization. We took care of housing. We take care of if you need an abortion, we get you to the clinic. Sometimes we pay for the services, groceries, anything that the community needed as a resource is what the mutual aid does. One time we found somebody that was in a storage shed, right? They were in an abusive relationship. We got that mother and that child into a hotel, got that father some space by himself. And things like that. Like we do whatever it is that the community needs without judgment.
Hmm. And when did that start?
It started, oh man, I've been doing it for so long. Hillary Clinton was running for office.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's been a while.
Hmm.
Awesome. And what are some of the other services? I think you do like a free store, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but that's not really a service. That's just we have a program where people, um if you put your clothes out, like clothes you don't need, as long as they're washed, there's someone that'll come pick them up and we distribute them to the community. And people just order what they need for supplies in terms like I need a size such and such pants. What was happening when I first started, because I believe you should just start working in your community. I would go out every week to a specific spot in Charlotte, North Carolina, where people who were houseless would congregate or get to. And every week they would say, I need pants for this job, size shoe this job. And I would go out and personally shop and buy these things for these people in the community. Because you can't work on a construction site and use bad shoes. You know what I'm saying? Your feet is your only business. And so every week I would go out and I would meet people at a certain time at a certain spot every week. Do you need a tent? What do you need? And that's how I built up my mutual aid.
let's segue a little bit into your actual campaign because I know we may have some limited time, and so I want to make this as compact as possible. Not fair, a bunch of questions, but I have some very key issues I want to probe. And one of those deals with ballot access. I do want to say that the algorithm is recognizing you very much. Going to what you were saying earlier, because compared to a lot of other people, I can type your name in Google and it's the first result, and the second one, and the third one. So that means that something's right. There's some traction, definitely been captured. I want to ask because on your updated page, I think there were 7 states that you were secured under the Unicorn Party banner. But I'm confused. How does this work with securing the Green Party and also the Peace and Freedom Party nominations too, even though it's understood that you're already the official Unicorn Party nominee?
So a political party is just a vehicle to help you get elected. Thankfully, Ross Perot was the first candidate to run with multiple political parties. I'm just doing what Ross Perot did on steroids. So it's not just the Peace and Freedom Party and the Unicorn Party anymore. We're also trying to work with the People's Party of Texas. We're also consulting the Libertarian Party in Oklahoma. If you have a ballot line, I am calling and I'm trying to get a date. We need to be on all 50 states ballots. I'm literally flying to Alaska June 21st to be there because the Alaska Green Party is not the same as the Green Party that Jill Stein and I are competing with states on shore. Like, I don't think people understand how many political parties have overlapping names. Like, there's Green parties that are not affiliated with the National Green Party.
Mm.
So I'm consulting every political party. We just met with the NPC part, not NPC, it's something else. I'm saying it wrong. Please, 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 if you're listening, don't get upset. But they've just gotten their first presidential committee number from the Federal Election Commission. They're very pro-cannabis, right? We're talking to all political parties. I have no loyalty to one political party. The goal is to fix America. A political party is a group of individuals that want to get you elected so that because their values align with yours. That is it. So we are at 48 states ballot access now.
Oh, wow. You're in 48 states?
Yes. What we are doing now is the payment portion to get the filing petitions recognized. But yes, we've been busy. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not the person that does the work. We had to officially hire a ballot company for the last 2 states, for Georgia and Alaska. But yeah,
So those
we're
are the only 2 ones you have to secure.
yeah.
So in the state of Tennessee, if I wanted to, I could, in theory, I could check your
You
name.
will be, as long as so what happens is we have to turn in our petitions. You turn in the petitions, they ask you, some states will say you've got enough petitions, you don't have to have a check. Because we are a minor party, we have not paid any state the number yet. And we haven't been able to submit our petitions. When they tell us, come, bring us your stuff, that is all going to happen in a week. And we will deliver the boxes of signatures and hopefully the checks. But we have met the requirements in terms of signature gathering, except for states of Alaska and Georgia. Alaska, I needed 6,000 signatures. Georgia, it's a little bit more complicated because of write-in problems and things like that. But we are a minor party. And what people don't understand is we have different rules from the big parties.
Wow. And we've discussed that a lot on the forum. We know how difficult it can be for someone running outside of the RD system to get ballot access, and not just ballot access, but just access to public funding and a plethora of issues. But so this is really great news for the Sherman campaign and the Blueberry campaign. And that answers a lot of questions. So you're saying that regardless of this Green Party stuff, because that's made a big deal.
Yep.
So regardless if Jill Stein wins the Green Party nomination or not, you're
I'm
still
not,
in the race.
yes, I am still in the race. We weren't crazy, which is why, and you guys can go back and look for that on August 23rd of 2023 at the Green Party convention. When I introduced myself to them, I told them, if you don't give me the nomination, I will be your competitor. They have been well aware of me. I've already won a nomination. The goal was to be on the most states ballots. The goal was to save Americans money. Because if you have a ballot line, I don't need to pay a ballot line. But if you don't, then I do. And so we've been fundraising now because we don't think that we're going to win the Green Party nomination, but we also didn't think the Green Party was going to cheat.
that goes into, so there's been a lot of people floating this theory that there should be a unified ticket
Hell
on the
no, we're
left.
not the same. No,
And
thank
I
you.
don't understand how that would even work out in the first place with so many people in the field.
Well, so what happens is we have a lot of people that don't know anything about politics and are trying to preach kumbaya. I believe in a free Palestine. I believe in a free Congo. I believe in a free Sudan. I don't belong on a ticket with RFK, who is the Zionist. I don't belong on a ticket with Lars Mapstead, who's a racist. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you guys need tea on how he's a racist, go to the debate that was on C-SPAN for Free and Equal when he talks about Black people. And I called him out during that debate. You'll see the racism highlighted.
Wow.
That's what I'm
I'll
saying.
tell
We're not the same. Even Jill Stein, she and I are competing for the same ticket with the Green Party, but me and that broad have nothing in common. I have integrity. She does not. And for anybody's like, how can you know? Because I haven't participated in cheating. So when people are like, you're not allowed to badmouth candidates, I'm not badmouthing. You can look at the state of Oregon and what happened with that election. You can look at the state of California and what happened with that election.
And so let me get this straight. And I know that this is maybe not related. Is Howard Hawkins just like in the past? Is that
Yeah,
just
they sycophants of Stein right now. Listen, the way these parties are working, they're voting Jill Stein blindly, blindly. Howie Hawkins doesn't matter. He
so?
owns.
So someone within the National Green Party determined that Jill Stein will be like the face of the Green Party going forward in 2024.
Hey, fifth time is a charm. Yes. If you can't win
Gotcha.
president the first two times, run for local office. If you can't win local office, go back to running for president.
And see, this is the type of stuff that the People's Party of Texas. I've interviewed People's Party of Texas 3 different times, and I love the People's Party of Texas. By the way, shout out to all Athena, OC,
They
Curtis,
helped me raise $1,100 in Texas.
Jeffrey.
Associate.
Shout out to all the beautiful people in Texas, the People's Party of Texas. But this is what they were saying about this, the idea of these political parties, even the ones that are like the Greens and the PSL and Peace and Freedom Party, they're top down, they're not horizontal based to where there's like there's a non-hierarchical approach. There's
But
still a hierarchy.
The unicorn party is a flat matrix. Everyone's got equal say, which is why you see so many people on my staff getting buck wild all the time. But yeah, a lot of I'm trying to one of the things I always told you is I was going to tell you the truth. If it had I'm not going to spread any lies about a person. I'm not going to spread gossip. But if I experience something at your hand, I get to talk about it. So yeah, there's so many people who are trying to push for a unity ticket are not listening to people. There is a difference between me, Jill Stein, Cornel West, Kennedy. I have policies. I have actual plans that are mapped out. What I noticed that a lot of people are noticing is every time I say something, you hear other candidates repeat it and not giving me credit for it. I told you the first time I met you, I said it was going to be a Black Swan event. Now, all of a sudden, I hear a lot of other candidates talking about something they can't even define.
Mm. So this is one more thing I want to get in before we transition into your policies that you just mentioned. Because I'm not about the drama as much. I'm more so about the policies. That drives my incentive to even participate in this process. To me, that is very flawed. We put so much emphasis into electoral politics, but we've already demonstrated there's way more to saving the world, saving our humanity, saving our minds than simply casting a vote every so often. There's a lot more things that people have to do, and I know that you're very conscious of that because you put in the work so many years outside of this electoral system. But I did want to mention the PSL because I'm curious, is there a reason why you were not able to secure that nomination with Claudia de la Cruz, the piece?
So let's talk about PSL. When I decided to run for president, I didn't even have the Unicorn Party's nomination. I called every political party that was supposed to be not Democrat, not Republican. I contacted PSL and said I wanted to run. They never contacted me back. I never heard from somebody. And I am of the business of this is something that I was going to get done. So I proceeded down the next path. A door could stay closed. I'm going to look for a window. But I'm glad I didn't get into PSL. They have a lot of issues. They don't actually want to win. I am running to win and make changes. They're not, they're running to normalize socialism. My goal is to win. I even tried to get the nomination from the Socialist Party. They don't want to win, right? They have their ideologies. And the offensive part about me is that I actually want to win. I want to try. And so they were like, we're not giving you the nomination, even with a lot of the Greens, because they've been having those elections. Not everybody's been turning out, right? So my difference between me and all the other third party candidates that I have said since day one is I actually want to win. I don't want to write a book. I don't need to be famous. I need to make America work for everyone. And that's a very big difference between me and some of the other candidates.
And per comrade Jake Carrico, who's been on the forum so many different times I can't even mention, according to Jake Carrico, the Communist Party USA has already endorsed Biden. So this is my message to people who are affiliated with the Communist Party USA. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I don't usually say stuff like that, but I'm calling out anyone that's associated with that organization because to me, you can't be taken seriously ever. Endorsing Jim Crow Joe is to me just the ultimate no. And as much as people want to talk about Trump and everybody else, to me it's just like you're not justifying anything by supporting him. And you call yourself a communist party and you're supporting him. So I just think that the priorities of these people are just in different places and they're not in the right places. And it just shows that there's not a lot of urgency and there's not a lot of seriousness going on in this so-called left realm. And that's maybe why the left can't be taken seriously sometimes is because of things like this. When I heard that news, I didn't know what to say. I thought it was a joke at first, and then they said no, they endorsed him. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. When you're a part of so this is my thing about organizations. I am not encouraging rugged individualism at all. But I am encouraging people to build community. Stop joining organizations blanket and build community with the people that live in your community. If your power goes out tomorrow, who's coming to help you? If your house tumbles on you, who's going to call the police for you, right? Who's going to call the ambulance? Your community does. A lot of people get caught up in being a part of the organization. A lot of people get caught up in the hype of the institution, and they're not looking at the work that either is or isn't happening, right? And so that organization, just like some of the unions that endorsed Joe Biden, that doesn't make sense to me, right? That Palestine, Ohio train wreck wouldn't have happened if the union workers had been able to continue their strike, right? So I feel like I am someone that believes actions speak louder than words. And when your actions demonstrate that I don't need to be messing with you, I don't mess with you. One of the perks about the Unicorn Party is it is an organization where nobody's been molested. Nobody's got any secrets. There's no skeletons. Nobody's been bigots. Nobody's been racist. That is something I can proudly say. So I'm glad some of these institutions chose to do what they're doing. But I also want people to remind themselves about distractions. I think people need to read Franz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth, because he talks about interlopers. He talks about people that look like you, that talk like you, that act like you, and are getting their bag by throwing you under the bus. So those organizations, a communist organization endorsing Joe Biden doesn't make sense because communism is about stateless classlessness, right? Why are y'all even voting? Respectfully, right? And so again, you got to live your principles, you got to live your values. I know a lot of people get mad at Democrats and then they go, I'm kicking my bill and I'm calling my something else. But very few people divorce themselves from the principles or atrocities or bad behaviors or bad mannerisms that other institution had. So, yeah.
100% agree with that. And I think people can feel that sentiment in some of the interviews that we've discussed with that. I actually brought up that last point about I don't understand the union endorsements of the ruling class. That was actually in our last episode 121 with Zach Hyden, the Mad Redneck, and Jay Carrico. We talked about that, and they honestly didn't have an answer to that question. They thought it was a very good question, intuitive question, but it doesn't make sense. That's why there's so much unknown. It doesn't make any sense at all.
I have an answer because tradition is peer pressure from the dead, and younger people follow suits of the people that they intern and idolize, and they follow in their footsteps so much they don't deviate from the plan. Politicians are the same people that would call to have strikes busted up, union busting. Politicians are the same people. And so people are like, well, I could be a mini lobbyist too. And my union can advocate, instead of understanding these people are getting in bed with people that don't want to do business with you properly. People are allowing relationships and networking to confuse what the business that you have is. Union representatives are supposed to represent the people. The politicians stopped representing the people a long time ago.
Yes, no doubt about that. I want to get into your policy. And so having said that, I want to share the screen and so people can see your actual like website, your official site.
Yeah, because we're not on Wix server anymore. We want a free Palestine, so we moved to jasminesherman.com.
And so I thought I had it up here, but you
We
can see
moved
my
it
screen,
back.
correct?
Yep, I can see your screen.
Okay, so if you see Jasmine Sherman, it's the first result. That's what I'm saying. So the algorithm is recognizing your momentum and your presence alongside your vice president, your running mate, Tanda Blue Bear. As far as the issues are concerned, the triple bottom line accounting policy is something that you've emphasized a lot in previous episodes. And I've read over your policies again, and I was curious, like, what do you mean when you say environmental reparations? I'm curious about that part of the triple bottom line accounting policy.
Well, there's a state of Hawaii where the military industrial complex has destroyed their natural resources, their coral reefs, things like that. That's environmental reparations. We're paying for that, compensating places where we've destroyed the environment. That's one of the few things that one of the first things and few things that I am going to be using the military budget for, is to pay reparations for the environmental costs that we've caused.
Okay. Yeah, there's really everything is so precise on your site, and I appreciate that. And we've discussed a lot of your policies previously. I think we talked a lot about policing, like your whole idea of community policing. We discussed that in great detail. I was more in line with kind of the economic basis, which I think we've discussed quite a bit in previous episodes. But just for my audience who may not be up to par, I thought that this would be important, that you have everything pretty much documented, and you have a lot of things covered under this triple bottom line accounting policy.
It's the policy that gets the money, because people always be like, where the money coming from? Where the money coming from? I got to get it back. We got robbed by corporations, and this is what allows me to go back and get the money that you lost because politicians were derelict in their duties. And it's not like we're just picking on these corporations. These are only corporations that have violated by doing something to humans, doing something to the environment, and consistently not paying their workers. This is me getting the revenge that I legally can get.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I'm asked all the time. How are you paying for this? And when we do it, like if you go through my universal health can, there's a whole entire worksheet of every company that we'd have to close to pay for it. But the money is there. And I think less young people are asking the how you're going to pay for it question, because we just watched our government a couple days ago send $95 billion somewhere else. We just watched our government let a ship crash into our bridge and say, we got it. And for anybody that's like, well, we're going to get our money back later. Here's the problem. Insurance, if you crashed your car, your insurance company is going to have to pay for what you do. Why are we American tax dollars paying for what somebody else did that's fully insured, has billions of dollars in assets? And for anybody that's like, oh, but the courts are going to take so long, because of the way America builds our bridges and it's inefficient, it's going to take 10 years either way. So we might as well go ahead and get American money out of it and let the people who did the problematic thing fix it. But yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to add on to the comment you mentioned about healthcare and say that you have some alarming statistics on the site, but they should cause alarm to everyone who's concerned about the future of the country and the world. But I also want to say that you have just a variety of issues covered. And the fact, I think you're the only candidate that has the disability consciousness where the policies can be read to them. Like everything on the site can be read to them in case people are visually impaired, which I think is so cool. 80% of people don't have sufficient health care. You emphasize that in your healthcare policy, we spend more than any other country on healthcare.
In
So
20
the money's definitely going places.
and it's there. Let me be clear. It is there and we're wasting it inefficiently. What people don't understand is we are inefficient. In 2022, we spent $4.5 trillion on healthcare. But did you know if we went ahead and just spent the $3 trillion, we would have universal healthcare, including your dental, your vision, your mental health? 3 trillion if we went ahead and gave everybody universal health care. And the best part about this is if we gave people universal health care, we could do preventative medicine, which would eventually also chip away at the cost because it's not a surprise when your body breaks down.
So this leads to a question for you. For people who are more skeptical and for people who may not be on the same page with you when it comes to views on healthcare, how should people rethink healthcare?
What I would tell people is if you talk to somebody that says, I don't want universal health care, talk to another person. Because if you can live through a pandemic, if you can watch your body aging, I woke up older today than I was yesterday. Something today hurts that didn't hurt yesterday. I have ligaments I didn't know existed in places. And then before you go judging me about my failed understanding of anatomy, I went to public school in America. So there you go. We are getting older. We have an aging population. Many of us have parents that if they get older, where are you putting them? Right? Who's taking care of them? Anybody that you can talk to that says, I don't want universal health care and everybody's dying and we have a way to pay for it and we show it's cheaper, you're talking to a fool and you're wasting time. Go talk to somebody else. Running for president is sales. Running for changing your country is sales. You're pitching an idea and you're hoping somebody buys in and then they go on with your idea. We have seen in all of my 38 years voting red and blue and getting nothing. We have seen people die. We have seen people die in childbirth. We have seen people die at work. And we have seen that not providing people universal health care is not getting anybody anything better. Other countries that are more broke than we are have universal health care. So for anybody that's like, it won't work if you allow corrupt people to run your system. It won't work if you don't hold doctors to the standards of quality care that the politicians get. It won't work if you don't decide to have a spine and demand that it be made working.
And something you said there, and I've always emphasized this on the forum, all the talking heads and the oligarchs in Congress, they all have that health care that they don't want you to have.
They do. They all use it. The military, they all have it, right? And I don't see any of them signing up to give it up. And another thing, when you talk to somebody about economics, because I have a master's degree in finance, I forgot you knew that. I've worked at banking institutions. And yes, when I worked in IT, I didn't just plug things in. I actually did some stuff. My LinkedIn is available. You can see it. What I want people to understand is I've never seen a poor person hire an economist. And last I checked, most people deliver the messages that their employer would like them to deliver. When you go to work, your boss gives you a narrative and it's your job to tap dance and spin it through. Same for an economist. Anybody telling you in the United States that we're not living through a recession, because I watched the State of the Union speech and I think many of you did. Anybody that says that they're not living through a recession as we watch groceries rise up and you bringing less and less home, but it's taking more out of your pocket. Anybody who's looking at that and you're going to tell me this is a good economy, get the hell out of here. They're lying to you.
There's definitely, they love to do that. We've had quite a few economists on the show, and we've debunked all these bullshit myths about um, the employment numbers, the true numbers versus the numbers that they create out of thin air to meet their agenda. And we've debunked a lot of that stuff. And I'm glad that you're speaking that sort of language because that's something that people need to stop taking in so easily. It's just the propaganda from all these different administrations that give you the government numbers that they want you to know versus the actual numbers. At the true economy is never reflected in the State of the Union address or any of these press conferences. And I don't know why people take debate so easily, but the economy is definitely in poor health, and it's been in poor health for a while.
It has been, and it's going to be in poor health until y'all get a spine. But I do think the reason we take the bait so easily, the reason, like I've been running for president for a while now, and I've met people who say, you need to be 45 to run. Don't give me no political advice. Go sit down. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to people that are that off base, right? I'm talking to people that are telling me what, and I told you this years ago. I'm talking to people who think politics still function like it did when they were in high school and they were reading from a civics textbook. It doesn't work like that anymore. And we know it doesn't work like that anymore. The same way Joe Biden was able to waive 26 federal laws without the Congress, without the Senate, to continue building Donald Trump's border wall is the same way that I can, without the Senate, without the Congress, give you health care, give you housing. And when they take me to court, because I'm not saying they won't take me to court, but you will be like, this bitch did all this work. You know how hard it was for a third party to win? That's clearly what the people want. You should finally have a politician giving you what the people want. And again, nothing I'm talking about, nothing I've ever said, because I'm talking to real professionals. I'm talking to educated pundits like yourself. Everything I'm talking about, the way I want to execute it, FDR did it. I'm not writing any new book. I'm not doing anything like some magical Negro. I am reading through our history and utilizing practices that presidents have used for years, except because other presidents perverted the system, I now have more power to not need Congress, to not need the Senate. It's the same reason during his presidential State of the Union speech, Joe Biden said, I need more presidential powers, not less. And it's just killing me. You guys, like when I talk to people, because now I'm talking to people who want me to travel, and we have State of the Unions because at one time we didn't have technology to learn from the government in real time. So he had to make the speech to give people information in real time. It wasn't a speech that was televised, it was a speech they listened to on the radio. So he's sitting at his desk reading it. Right? It got more and more like, oh, is this what it is? Is this how the sausage is made? As we have more technology. Why you think you don't have no cameras in the Supreme Court? Because they don't want you to see how the sausage is made. We have an obligation to not let peer pressure from the dead ruin our lives. If you are not interested in something new, don't vote for me. If you are not sick of what we've been experiencing as a voter, then you should consider your options. If you are someone that is tired of upholding a system that hurts you, you should consider your options. And no matter what option you should consider, even if you don't like Jasmine Sherman, any candidate that you're talking about should have the same amount of urgency that I have, because your kids have to eat today. And
What's that?
No, I just think that that's the biggest thing. And so, like, going back to when you were talking about a unity ticket, we don't all speak the same. We don't all think the same. Some people don't give a damn about you. And I'll be clear, I don't know most of you, probably don't like half of you, but you're a breathing person and you deserve the basics. These are the basics. Other countries have these basics.
And I tell you something, what I don't like about the idea of a unity ticket is, to me, it sounds like a concession. And to me, if you're going all in to win something, you don't need to concede to something. You need to build your own and stick with your own thought process, your own networking. And to me, because to me, that's like counterproductive, it's counterintuitive. It sounds good on paper, but it's also conceding that. So you're saying that the left, the so-called left, whatever that is, you're saying that it's not strong enough on its own. It's got to have a bunch of other people together to make it stronger. I think if something's strong on its own, it doesn't need that other stuff with it.
I agree. I also feel like it's more that melting pot shit, like from that melting pot analogy that most people grew up with. I want tomatoes to be tomatoes and I want cucumbers to be cucumbers. If you want a president that is going to fight tooth and nail, then you should vote Jasmine Sherman. If you want somebody that's going to capitulate, you got your options, right? One of the things I continue to tell people is I am running for president and I am continuing to get suppressed. I am continuing to be underestimated, ignored, talked bad about. But there's a reason that they don't like me. There is a reason that people want you not to think that I'm a viable candidate. And yet, even in spite of all these people trying to stop you, telling you all these things about me, I'm not going anywhere. My name continues to be even stronger. I continue to demonstrate that we can do this. We can have a real movement.
As far as your universal basic income policy, I have general questions about universal basic income, UBI, what is referred to a lot in the mainstream media. My biggest thing with UBI is that something that can be easily implemented? And if so, what would need to be in place for UBI to be implemented like effective immediately? Is that something that, am I
It's,
overthinking that, or is that something that's easy to implement?
the best part about what I'm doing is it's already being done. The state of Alaska already demonstrates UBI to people. People get paid to live in Alaska, and that money comes from oil reserves and the work and the drilling that goes on there. That's universal basic income. They are compensated for staying there. It's the same process. The same way we can pay you during tax season is the same way I can direct deposit this money into your account. The people paying for that would be the corporations. Remember, I told you I'm going back 37 years to pay for stuff. That money's coming from there. It's not coming from you. You see, my tax policy is right above my universal basic income policy. And you can, if you read through all of that, it's long. If you have questions, schedule a meeting. I often tell people to meet with me and I'll go through taxes with you. I don't raise your taxes. I actually lower your taxes because I actually start taxing the people who can afford to be taxed. Like before Reagan was in office, rich people paid their fair share. Corporations paid their fair share. Y'all let one movie star run the whole thing, and damn it, we are all screwed. And you
I
know he was a
have,
good movie star because he wouldn't have had to go into politics if he was good at acting.
you talking about Trump?
I'm talking about Reagan.
Oh, Reagan. Okay. That's right, guys. We're going way back in the day.
I told you I read them history books. I'm not a, if you ain't got a good personality, read books. That's the one thing I got from Chris Rock in my life. He's a terrible person, but he said for every pounds of overweight you are, the smarter you better be.
Oh my gosh. And
Crazy.
let's get it. I'm gonna get in a slight ad before we continue. I have a few more questions regarding housing, Landback, and this anti-indoctrination policy. I just want to say the Kiko's Freethinkers Forum is a growing forum. We want to keep it a public service, and so having said that, you can subscribe for free. We're an exclusive YouTube channel. We have about 44% of our audience located outside of the United States. That was always the point, to make this international community forum. Please inform your friends and family, anybody that you think may be interested in this type of content. If people aren't into the political content, you can also refer to the cultural content. I like to market it that way. If you don't like the culture part, we have political stuff for you. And it's not going to be stuff that's just straight and narrow. It's going to be outside the box. It's going to make you think about things. It's not going to be an easy one size fits all solution. It's going to make you think about things. Thus, Kiko's Freethinkers Forum. Thanks for all the support, the constant support with the subscribers that I have and the future subscribers that I plan on getting. We're trying to get 20,000 people by the end of 2024. I think it's possible. And I just want to say thanks to all the people who support the channel, whether monetarily or also just simply listening in to the shows and sharing the content. As far as the housing policy is concerned,
Can I do a commercial too, real quick? If you
yeah,
scroll to
definitely.
the top of my website while we doing commercials, because I'm enjoying this interview. I hope you let me put this interview on my YouTube.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you are on the Jasmine Sherman website, you can go and buy our merch. Is at the top. All the sales from the merch, they go to the staff that work here. There's some really fun t-shirts. Please check it out. We have an in-person fundraiser on May 12th in New York City. If you'd like to participate, if you're watching this in time, please email us, go to our website, find out how you can join. It's in Staten Island. I will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Juneteenth. I will be in, for people who don't know, Juneteenth is June 19th. So I will be in Minneapolis for an event there. I will also be in Alaska from June 21st to June 24th. That's a lot of places and a lot of days. So please, please, please email us, contact us, come out, support. It's how we pay for this ballot access. Now I'm ready to answer the housing questions.
This is a very scary statistic. And it's something that my dad actually referred to when he came on the show, episode 100. My dad actually came on the show, a good 3-hour conversation. We talked about a lot of different things, foreign policy, economics. And we mentioned this housing crisis and the fact that a lot of people think that they own their homes, but they don't. It's a lot of window dressing. And this statistic here shows that less than 4% of the people in the country own their homes. U.S. Census actually states that. And so having said that, you've emphasized that you have a policy where everyone can have a home. You can eliminate houselessness, but basically by the stroke of a pen. Can you kind of re-elaborate that to the audience who may not know about that?
Yeah, so my platform is to end houselessness. I'm running because I'm tired of people not having homes in the United States of America. So we are going to do it's a multi-layered thing, and that's why it's broken into phases. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to be clear, a lot of my policies are written in English so people can comprehend them, and some people are still struggling. So hear me out. Phase one, we are going to purchase every house that is already on the market. That house is already prepared to be lived in because they're for sale. All of those houses will house houseless people. Phase two, we are taking away corporations' ability to own single family units. That means that people who are in situations where their house is unsafe, those people can move. Those people who are in situations with roommates and it's tension, those people can move. So phase one, people who need the housing emergency right away. Phase two, people who are living in situations like they got a place, but it ain't a safe place, right? Your electric's kind of wonky. You got some mold here. You're living, you're not outside, but it isn't up to code. And then
Mm-hmm.
phase three is for the regular public, right? I'm doing these in three phases because we have timelines, we have dates, and we know how the court system works. We have escrow. So if a regular person, and I want people to understand, if you had the money, like you didn't need a bank loan or a mortgage, you could walk up to the homeowner and be like, here's the check for what you asked for the house, and they would leave tomorrow. It only takes the 90 days because you have to go through different people checking your credit, checking their credit, checking the building, make sure it's worth it. That doesn't take that long to actually buy a house when you have money. And so I think people misunderstand that. So we're taking the 90 days and we're using that. And any house that's available to move people in, we can move people in faster. But it will take us 92 days to house every single person in America. But it's not hard. We can do it.
When you say we, are you referring to the government? When you say that the government's going to buy up the houses?
Mhm. The government is going to buy the houses. Mhm.
And would that cause any issues with people who are private owners, I guess,
Yeah,
in that case?
so I should have answered the illusion of home ownership. Right now, I have deeds that say I own several houses. If I miss an insurance payment or if I miss a tax payment, the government says, I don't give a fuck about that deed, and they take the house away. Or they will sell it to a company for pennies on the dollar for some taxes. The house could be $300 million, but the taxes could be 14 grand, and somebody come on and they own that $300 million house. You only have the illusion of home ownership. Indigenous people owned all of this until people set up a government and took it. So you could own your house today, but then the government could be like, we need a sidewalk. And then they will take your property. They will use eminent domain to take portions of your property. They throw cash at you, and you can look at what your municipality says that they have to pay you should eminent domain be required. But make no mistake, yeah, you could own your house, you sitting pretty, but the government could come tomorrow and take it for no cause. A bank could have, and I worked at a bank that did this. I worked at several banks that did this. A bank could misapply a zero and say you haven't paid your mortgage and take your house. And then you have to go to court and fight them. And then what about the people who in this situation, this is a real thing. People bought the house already. They kicked you out, sold your house to somebody else. So now where do you go?
Mm-hmm.
Our government owes you a great debt. This is a story that has already happened to real people. It is time for us to give indigenous people back their land. That does not mean that you will be houseless. Land back means is the people who owned it originally will have a say on how it's run. But you can still sit if you live at 1425 Oliver Easter Peepee Street. And I said it like that because that's not a real street. There better not be an Oliver Easter Peepee Street in this country. That's probably bad. But if you live at 815 Oliver Easter Peepee Street, and you've paid for that, you will get the money back for that. And you can stay in Oliver Easter Peepee Street till the day you die. But let's say you've gotten 17 kids and now you need to move. You will open an Airbnb type app. We all know how that works. And you will click that house that works for you and your family. If that means you're living in a house as big as the Duggars, then fine. That means you're living in a house as big as Aubrey Graham does in Canada. That's fine. It's available. We have this real estate because we know it's already on Airbnb. If you are someone that's like, well, all my kids have left me, you could die at Easter Peepee Street, or you could move to a smaller house. Your house will come off the market, and then someone else would have an opportunity to live at 815 Easter Peepee Street. But it will come off the market, be upgraded with the most energy efficient. So a wind turbine, if you live in a place that's pretty windy, a double helix, they make them, they're small and they're compact. Or if you live in a place with lots of sun, you're going to get some type of solar panels. There are technologies. We have them for rich people who have those bunkers all ready to live if something goes down. The same courtesy can be extended to you. We know we have too much water in our atmosphere. We already know that. So guess what? Because we also have dirty pipes, you're getting dirty water. That's why everybody's running around here drinking dirty water. I mean, bottled water. So why don't we just give every home an atmospheric pressure generator so everyone can have natural water coming from the earth that's clean? It's going to taste a little funny at first, but you will get used to it because you haven't had clean water in a while. Most people don't realize there's chlorine in their water unless you're on a well, and that's a different problem. We can fix our nation's issues. You just needed somebody who was delusional enough to try. And that's me.
I just want to ask you, do you have 15 minutes in you? Because if
Let's
so,
go. Let's go. We cooking.
because I'm enjoying this. You refer to this, the enjoyment of this interview, the feeling's mutual. I'm having a great time too. I know this is a wonderful episode 122, and I couldn't have it any other way. And let's continue with this conversation for the last 15, 20 minutes or so. And I wanted to, I think it's funny how you casually mentioned Drake, Aubrey Graham.
I'm only calling Aubrey because I'm on Kendrick's side now. Neither man is the moral high ground. I got a problem with anybody that puts their hands on women if that's a true accusation. I got anybody that grooms a kid if that's a true accusation. Neither man has the high ground. But Aubrey, he came out his mouth and said Kendrick was rapping like he was trying to free the slaves. And I believe in freeing the slaves. I'd like somebody to free my people. So, I'm definitely on Kendrick's side. It's way harder than Aubrey Graham.
As far as so the question of government comes up a lot. I've asked pretty much every candidate this, and it seems like what you were saying earlier, and first of all, it seems like you co-signed exactly what my dad said. He said pretty much verbatim what you just said about you don't own your home. It's all an illusion. That's actually what he said. He said home ownership is an illusion. Yeah. So if you go back and watch the episode 100, that clip got a lot of traction with my dad. And I didn't know how the interview was going to go, but my dad was like, you better have me back on because I told you I'm going to get you some views. You better listen, son. And so I thought it was hilarious.
If he's making sense, sense, like you got to go with that. You got to go with that.
No, but that's interesting. It really is. And it honestly made me rethink. And this conversation is making me rethink a lot of things. Just everything is so connected. It really is. Tax structure, home ownership, the illusion of home ownership, government institutions, any of these basic essential needs that you're talking about in your policies, all this stuff is so connected. It's not even funny. And I think we really need to get back to these basic ideas, which aren't too basic, I guess, because people don't seem to be understanding it. They're used to the propaganda by now, and it's working effectively against them. But that's why we're highlighting these issues because they are so important to us. These are the issues that really matter: food, water, clothing, shelter, things that we say that matter, but we don't seem to emphasize them. But this idea of government, I know you mentioned it before. What institutions would be just ones, if you were in office, you would be like, we just need to just strip that down, like it doesn't need to be a part of
FBI, goodbye. FBI, goodbye.
FBI.
CIA, peace out. NSA, I'm tired of spying on Americans. Y'all are not so here's the thing. TikTok has proven to me I don't need the NSA. They're currently very inefficient compared to that boy Yuval that's on TikTok. I don't really know him. But we have real life CSI individuals out here. They found Aubrey Graham's imaginary, fake, possibly real planted baby doll, human daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like these people, I don't need these entities that we know do not serve America. We know that they cost us more money and they don't deliver results. 9/11 wouldn't have happened if the 3 alphabet agencies were working. Uvalde couldn't have happened if the 3 agencies were working. We already know that the federal government is listening and spying on us because of the Patriot Act. We already know that the federal government has increased the amount of surveillance that they can do on us. We already know that because the Biden administration recently went to the Supreme Court and petitioned and won for more of these spying powers. Mm-hmm. We already know our liberties are under attack. And I think it's time that we stop it. And the best way to stop it is to close those doors. And don't worry, for anybody's like, but how would they going to eat? In a Sherman administration, their housing is taken care of, their education is taken care of, and they'll have health insurance. So they'll have time to go back to school and re-educate themselves to do a career that serves the community, not hurts the community. But there are a lot of them. One of the agencies that we'll be getting is the Bureau of Land Management. They got to go. We will be getting rid of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. A lot of indigenous people are suffering heavily because of that branch of that entity. There's a lot of agencies that got to go. And we can have a more functional, better government. We just need to actually step up and do it. Cheaper
As
too.
far as I want to get this question in, and then I want to save the Landback policy and kind of speak to that since your name again was brought up. And so I thought it was only fair. Okay, I have to invite Jasmine back on. I was going to invite you back on anyway, but especially more so once your name was brought up over and over in that Brittany Jones interview. So for my audience, why the decriminalization of sex work and drug use as opposed to legalization, just for clarity purposes?
Because when I met with sex workers, they asked for decriminalization and not legalization. Legalization leads them to another series of malfeasance. It does not protect their interests. And same with decriminalization. It does not protect their interest to make it all legal, right? I don't want everyone on heroin. First, let me go back to sex work though, because that's one that's easy. It's the oldest profession that y'all are paying for in multiple layers already, damn it. Leave them alone and let's remove the pimps from the situation. Let's remove the toxic Johns from the situation, or Janes, you know, it's a full service operation. Let's stop allowing children to be sex workers. Let's actually protect people. Decriminalizing sex work should be exactly what it is. Decriminalize because that's what would be safer. It's not like y'all don't have sex with these people. It's not like these people are not servicing the community anyway. They have requested that it be decriminalized, and I respect that. In regard to the other portion of that question that I was asking, because it was a two-part question. You asked about sex work and then you asked about drugs. Drugs, people are on drugs, and I would rather have people alive. Someone who's doing drugs is not hurting me. They're not hurting you. They're not hurting their bodies. I mean, that's their body to do what they will. Someone doing drugs is the same detriment to their body as somebody not brushing their teeth. That's their body to do with what they will. My responsibility is to make sure that the minute somebody is on drugs and doesn't want to be on drugs, they can get off of those drugs. They don't need me judging them. In fact, most people could get more drug treatment if we as a society stopped judging them. We already have safe use centers for alcohol. It's called a bar. That's what it is. Someone monitors how much you can drink, and when you get too dangerous, they send you home. Same thing for drugs. We already see the data across the world about what happens when you don't attack a person. Even in our country, we have results on what happens when you decriminalize things. So, you know.
I appreciate the explanation. And the bar analogy I've never heard of before. I never thought about a bar being basically a management of alcohol use.
But it
I
is.
mean, ideally, that's what it is, though. I mean, it's available, but it's also controlled. It's supposed to be anyway.
Right. That's exactly what it is. So we already pick and choose the things that we want, but it's always the things that are taxable first and never for the benefit of, the worker.
As far as I lied about before the Landback policy, there was something about anti-indoctrination policy that I was kind of unclear about.
Sure.
What exactly is that? I don't know if that's something that's new that you added in or
It is
what.
a brand new policy. That's a policy. So have you heard of Lululemon, those multi-level marketing schemes? Have you
Yes.
heard that's to protect people from that? Have you heard about people who are taking the church against their will as children, and that's to protect those children from that? Anti-indoctrination policy is just that. We are not allowing Americans to be manipulated anymore. There should be more legislation stopping scammers from scamming people. There should be more protections around people who keep their church in church hours around strangers than we have. And for anybody that would like to go toe to toe with me about that, let's watch a Duggar documentary and let's talk about it. Let's talk about that, because that was America's Great Family on TLC. How abuse was rampant in there, but that's indoctrination. So they kept quiet about it. Lululemon. Sorry, it's Lulu Row, not Lululemon. I got that wrong. Lululemon, I think, is a TV show character.
As okay, so this last portion And I promise I'll let you go because I know I have places to go, but I don't want to also
No,
not
you're good.
uphold my
I
time.
just want to be clear though, right? If we're about to talk about land back, I have always had the stance that indigenous people should write that land back policy. So if you had an indigenous person on your show attacking the non-indigenous person who is not writing the policy, I think that there's something that we could say about that. And I'm sure that they didn't attack me.
Oh, you've been sarcastic, right?
I sure am. Haters love to hate. Haters love to hate. I got no problem with this person hating on me. They hate me because they can't beat me.
Oh my God. So let's
So
go to this interview here. And I thought I had it pulled up, but no problem here. I'm going to share the I'm going to share the sound. I know I have to share the sound. There should be an option for me to do it. Here it is right here. Share the sound.
yeah, it should be like a little pop-up window.
And there's a particular minute because it'll only be a small portion because I want to leave time for you to comment and then we can go. I think it's around this mark here, hour 15-minute mark. So I'll let the audience listen to this and yourself, and now I want you to respond to this right here.
You want me to respond to what she says or respond to her character impugnment? Like, how you want me to
you can
respond?
respond to anything you want to.
Okay.
Like this is your episode, so you
And
can
we
respond.
acknowledge it. I just want to make sure we acknowledge it before, because everybody gonna make me the bad guy. She started it. Is this a she started situation? Because I don't bring her up in my interviews.
Okay, so basically, Brittany Jones is insinuating that she created like the Landback policy and that you're copied from her. That's
Please roll this clip. Please roll this clip. Please roll this clip.
Got me. So discussing it with each nation, I'm the only candidate that actually had anything to do with Landback on my website, even though it wasn't titled that in my 100-day plan. I absolutely, my steps that I'm taking with First Nations is for Landback. So we have to remember that just because it wasn't titled Landback doesn't mean I didn't have it on my website. And I was the only candidate for months that had a policy on their website for it. I'm the only candidate with a solid plan of action for this. As other people use it as like a talking point, they throw the words out there, like Landback in an interview, without actually elaborating on what they plan to do.
Are you referring to Jasmine Sherman?
Well, I wasn't going to name drop.
Well, the reason why I say is because I just had Jasmine's vice presidential candidate on episode 102, I believe. And so that's the reason why I brought it up, is because Chanda Blueberry was specifically talking about Landback, representing the Pomo Nation in California, the Kashai tribe in California. That's the reason why I asked, like, was it Jasmine that you're referring to?
Yes, and I am referring to Jasmine. This is her second Indigenous running mate. And I have a video up on my platform where Jasmine is silencing. Did I say her? I meant there. This is their second Indigenous running mate. And I actually have a video up where with proof of them silencing and lying about Indigenous people who were trying to talk to them about Landback. And this issue is ongoing with them. So where I have done the work, learning about Landback, going to rallies, going to marches, learning about MMIW and ICWA, and actually participating in the community, Jasmine is expecting others to do the work for them, which is why on debates, Jasmine only says Landback and then moves on to other stuff without elaborating. So their running mate can absolutely talk about it because they're knowledgeable about it. But Jasmine's not doing any of the work themselves. None of the other candidates are.
Interesting. So that's kind of where I'm stopping it, but it kind of gives you an idea of what I was talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very important to talk about that. So I am not writing the land back policy. I have never said I was writing a land back policy. I have notoriously, publicly, always said that I was looking for an Indigenous person to write their policy because I'm a Black person. What would I look like letting a non-Black person write a policy for Black people? What would I, as a Black person who is not Indigenous, look like writing a policy for Indigenous people? I really want to make sure that we are very clear about intentions, right? And I don't want to be funny, but I should not be writing a land back policy because I'm not Indigenous. In regard to me firing a person, I fired Des, who was the first Afro-Indigenous running mate that I had. But guess what? I'm allowed to fire people if it doesn't work out. If you and I have an appointment and you do not show up for your appointment, an appointment that has my name linked to it, and you are making me look bad, I have every right to fire you because that tells me if this is your first meeting, your first shot out the gate, and you couldn't get there, that it's not a good fit. I will fire anybody that is not working out. It's not an indictment on them and their character. It's an indictment of we shouldn't work together. I have no problem owning that. I would fire anyone that is not doing the job they were hired to do. I spend a lot of time in meetings. You see how people coordinate getting me to your meetings, right? I will replace anyone that is not a person that is going to get me where I'm going. And anybody that doesn't understand that, I can't help you. You're not in the business of winning. In regard to me lying, I haven't lied. I said that Landback, I said it on the news, on C-SPAN. I talked about my Landback policy. Maybe Brittany didn't know because she wasn't at the event. I don't know. I'm not watching her campaign. What I will say, though, is I have been running for president since November 2021. A website and policies, that's great. It takes time to build those things. If you were running for president in 2021, I did not know Brittany Jones was running for president in 2021. I could have sworn she came after me. But what I can also swear is I don't care who had it on their website first. If you have it on your website, that's wonderful. Bravo to you. If it says something and Indigenous people want to vote for it, even better. Even better. I would hope that you would be like me because every policy that I have on my website, any candidate can come and take it, put it in your platform, make it because it's a betterment for the American people. There's nothing about any of my policies that another politician can't come along and use because I actually care about the benefit of Americans. If Brittany thinks that she has the first land back policy of any real value and it's on her website, by all means, everyone go read it, come back and give Tanda and I some ideas and suggestions. This isn't a pissing contest. This is what is best for America. This is getting Indigenous people their land back. So if she's the first, go for it. I got no care about that. My problem isn't that someone stole something from me. And I don't think that Tanda stole anything from Brittany Jones. I don't think that the land back policy that we have been crafting is anything like Brittany's. I mean, my website, my policies, my platform, they stand on their own. I don't need to bring other people into my things. What I will say is whomever has the best platform that provides the best relief for Americans and people who are on Turtle Island should be the person that wins. If y'all like Brittany's land back policy, damn it, vote for it. If you think they're presenting you with a better America, damn it, vote for it. But last I checked, I have been running for president since 2021. And just because receipts are important, if you allow me to share my screen, I'd like to point out a lie that was told in your video.
Yes, you should be able to share now.
So what people don't understand, people ask me all the time how I feel about policies and things, and people do not go and research or look at anything. This video is about, it looks like MMIW, does it not? That's definitely me talking about Indigenous issues. That's me talking about Indigenous issues. Only 260 people saw that. That's on June 14th of 2022. So To say that I have never talked about indigenous issues except for Landback only when it is convenient is a lie. There are other things that people can see where I talk about all kinds of indigenous issues. But so, I mean, I don't know what else to help her with. I mean, she's allowed to lie, but anybody, my platform, there, and if you go to TikTok, those videos are like, that's like the second account or third account that I've got. If you want to see every video that I have ever posted, go to Facebook. I hate to send people to Facebook, or go to my YouTube. All of those videos are there where I talk about other cultures. You are allowed, Brittany, to tell people you are the only person. You're indigenous, as you claim. You claim to be indigenous. That should be your first fucking priority. Reparations was mine. You know why? Well, not reparations wasn't first. Housing was first, then universal health care. But reparations was one of the things that I did first because I'm Black. So kudos to you, Brittany, for representing your people, as you should. Just like Tanda represents their people. They came here and they talked about it with you, right? So if we all want what's better for America, everybody should agree the best thing that is for America is to give all of the indigenous people their land back. I don't know how many more details that people need about that because I'm not writing that policy. I've never presented to. And I think if you go back in some of our other interviews, I also told you I was waiting for an indigenous person to write that policy. And yes, for somebody saying Jasmine wants other people to do the work, hell yeah. You think it was easy for me and my staff to get me on 48 ballots? We had to do some work. The rest of y'all can do some labor. This is your country. For some reason, and I always only thought it was white people who did this, and I don't mean no disrespect to white people, but for some reason there is an issue with certain demographics, I guess, now thinking that it's a problem when you let people do some of the labor. Many hands make light work. So I don't understand Brittany's issue with me letting people who are members of that community do their work. I would want to do my own work for Black people.
Yes, thanks for, again, that's kind of what I wanted. I want you to give your piece and kind of not only have a response, but also, share, your vision. And I think you did that. I think based on previous episodes, you didn't tend to have a claim either way about this land back policy. Honestly, I had never heard of land back. I can't, I'm trying to think the first time I even heard that word. And if you don't mind, when was the first time you heard that word? Because it was something that's very new to me. Like this word land back, it seems like it's like a recent thing for me.
So I'm
It's
gonna tell
not.
you the truth. I didn't hear about it in terms of indigenous people first. I heard about it with the occupation in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
I learned about land back because, like, I ignorantly was one of the people that thought that mostly all indigenous people, the majority, were extinct. I learned that later. I'm not gonna make any bones about that. I learned about land back because I learned about Hawaii's oppression first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well,
But
that makes sense. I mean, that is indigenous too. That's indigenated too.
right,
Um,
and the way that you can tell, for anybody that ever has any questions about me, all of my videos have hashtags, and landback has always been a hashtag in every single video that I have ever done.
mm-hmm. Yes. That adds another layer of context, and that's honestly what this forum is about. It's not even about. It's not about people reflecting my views, thinking about my views. I didn't even know that this was journalism that I was getting into, honestly. I saw this as more of a conversational forum. It's actually in memory of my best friend, Asa Williams. I don't know if people knew that before, but if you followed the forum, you know that this was created in memory of my best friend, Asa Williams, because we used to have some interesting conversations. And I didn't think that I would create an official capacity type forum like this, but I'm glad that it has taken off the way it has. I think he would have been proud of the progress of the forum. But this is really nothing to get gotcha questions, nothing like that. It's simply is to give the audience empowerment.
Oh
And
yeah.
shout out to Matthew Witt for recognizing that this is a forum. It's not for everybody, apparently. I get people all the time that ask me, why isn't this forum bigger than what it is? I can't force people to join the forum or anything like that. People sometimes, my conclusion is that people don't like to challenge their own views. It's hard to challenge your own views. And so it may not be popular right away. I did not expect to have 867 subscribers, honestly, because I just don't think that people are taught to have analytical thinking skills. And this is not for everybody, I guess, if you're in that thought process. But hopefully people can come around to reconsidering their own views and maybe not regurgitate what their parents told them when they were small or anything, just the people that are around, the peer pressure that may cause these people to think this way or that way. But this is simply to give people, hey, the information is out there. You can take whatever you want to do with it. You can do whatever you want to do with this information. But I would hope that people can grow with this information. And so this prime example here is not to be on Brittany's side or your side. Is to,
Yeah, no.
if you have a thought of your own, if people have brains in the audience, you can put two and two together and you decide what person is saying what or whatever. But I'm simply here as just a communicator.
Yeah, you're a communicator. And like I said, anybody who wants to see where I start talking about Landback, you can verify that via my Facebook. The hashtag is there. Anybody, I mean, if you really want to get funny, verify when Brittany started running for president, when they announced, and then go back and check the video I found that's on the account now. The oldest one is from March 2022. If Brittany was running before that, if not, then she's not telling the truth.
So yeah, again, it's there for everybody, and people know that you're not gonna get me to. People keep asking, like, are you gonna endorse somebody?
Why
And
should you? Y'all have lived through Biden. Y'all have lived through Trump. God damn it. If you can't figure it out after listening to all of us talk, all of us present you ideas, having lived through those two individuals, one is on trial, pooped himself in court on purpose and just sat there. The other one is a genocider who is enjoying it and a proud Zionist. If you can't decide between a pooper and a killer and a person who's excited about killing some more, then damn it, I can't help you. You get what you get and enjoy it. But for anybody that isn't okay with what you're going through, you have lived through Biden, you have lived through Trump, and you deserve better. Try living through Sherman. That's all I would say.
if you have like a final minute or so, a shout out to anybody, just any final words you have for my audience. And I just want to say we can't thank you enough for coming back onto the show. This episode 122 is going to be a great episode. I can't wait to play it back. It will release as soon as possible. But I just want to say thanks again for coming onto the show. And if you had any special message for my audience or any last words.
I don't know you, but I know you deserve better. I don't know how much money you got in your bank account, but I know you could afford a little bit more. I don't want you to sit up here and think that I'm trying to be your friend or I'm trying to present you with this image of who I am and who I am not. I'm a regular person that got fed up and I had a lot of extra time on my hands. And this is what I chose to do to try to serve my country. If you like what I have said and you are skeptical, schedule a meeting with me and let's talk about it. If you don't like what I said and you are not skeptical, vote for the candidate that best aligns with your values. Start doing mutual aid work in your community. And if you are someone that is in support of what I am doing and what I have said, then please join the movement. We need as many volunteers as possible. We've had over 300 people apply since February 29th. We have more space for you. If you are someone that wants to make merchandise, you can send it to us and we'll put it on our website and people can buy it from you. This is a group project. This is everyone's country. This is your country. Even the people that don't like me, this is their country. We will not get anything if we don't start taking some sort of action. So do something. You are brilliant enough, you are wise enough, and you are strong enough to start doing something to benefit your community. Many hands make light work.
And obviously, if a viewer or a member had a question, you have very easy access for people. They can even not schedule a meeting with you through Calendly.
Calendly, yeah. Not advertising no company, but if you click a link to schedule a meeting,
Oh,
it'll pop. We don't support corporations around here. But yeah, we do use a service that you will self-schedule a meeting with me at jasminesherman.com. If you would like to meet with Tanda, you use the same link. and schedule a meeting with Tanda. We want to talk to you. I want you to understand, we are regular people. So if you come out of bag, we coming out of bag too. This is all of our country, and nobody has paid me a dime to do anything for the American public. And I haven't paid you a dime to do anything for me. So let's meet together for mutual respect, because we're only going to get there together.
Yes, great concluding words. And I just want to say, again, full disclosure, people know that this is honestly an independent YouTube channel. I can't keep stressing that enough, that this is an independent YouTube channel. If you're expecting something that's more reflective of mainstream media, then this may not be the place for you. But I'm just saying that if we want to really build independent networks and stuff, even though it's YouTube, which is a mega corporation, we can still do that, I believe, in an honest way. But we got to start doing it right now, and we can't wait a second later. We got to really create a true independent media space. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of copycat stuff going on. And I honestly question what independent media is, because I think people are just in it for really the money, for the views and whatever. And I'm not going to say that I wouldn't want extra subscribers or anything. I simply want some of that YouTube revenue. That's all I want. I don't want any of the public's money. If the public wants to donate to me, so be it. You're more than welcome to do it. We're monetized officially right now. Technically, you can send a super sticker to us. But it's really a forum for us to grow together. It's an educational forum, and it's there to make you think. And if I've done that or whatever, I think I definitely deserve a subscription to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And I just want to say, beautiful people, this has been a great episode 122. It's been wonderful talking to Jasmine Sherman, running under the Green Party, Peace for Freedom, Unicorn, all these different channels. And Jasmine has 48 state ballot assets, which is really important. So if you're looking for a candidate that has those assets lines that are not Republican or Democrat, Jasmine is a great option. I've interviewed lots of people on this forum, and I tried not to interview Democrats or Republicans for a reason, especially for public office, because I just don't see the point of it. They already get the publicity. So why not highlight people who are trying to do something from the outside if you're going to play the electoral game? That's the way we kind of see electoral politics here. I don't see the point of wasting time interviewing Democrats and Republicans. And even the ones I've tried to reach out to, they've denied the interviews, or they've just ghosted their communication lines as it is. So, which is totally fine with me, because I really don't want to talk to them anyway. I want to talk to people like Jasmine, Chase, and any of the people that I've interviewed, Dr. Shiva, any of these people that I've
Next
talked
time
to.
you come back, I gotta tell you about that time I had to cuss Chase out in public. It's recorded.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Listen, y'all have to invite me back. I can't help it. I'm a lively person. If you start something, I finish it. I mean, let me be clear. Let me be clear. It was slight. It was a slight thing. It wasn't even nothing big. He tried to be funny. We was talking about taxes. That motherfucker went to a COVID policy. Negro, please. I was like, sir, first of all, if you want to have this conversation, go to taxes. It got resolved. You know, I was like, you trying to pretend to be a good person, act like a good, honorable person, have some integrity. Telling you, unity ticket. Thank you so much for having me.
This is hilarious. I can't wait.
I'm the Cat Williams of politics. I'm the Cat Williams of politics. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and I'm gonna have my receipts.
Yes, and beautiful people, you all know how I play. No editing involved. You're gonna get the raw product. That's the way I like it. And who do we have up next? Actually, episode 123 is going to be Iwo Omathosin, who is a personal friend of mine. Iwo is a spiritual light leader, as he calls it. He's a Babalawo. He is a Yoruba priest, and we're going to talk a lot about different ideologies. We're going to talk about the Nation of Islam. We're going to talk about Eastern traditions. We're going to talk about Black people involved in the political system, outside of the political system. Should be a very interesting conversation. Had a great reception the first time around. And now I'm going to do a book review on a book called Intimate Direct Democracy, which talks about two maroon communities, former enslaved communities that escaped persecution and relocated in the Great Dismal Swamp, what's known as the Great Dismal Swamp in present-day northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. and also Fort Mose, which is located in Seminole Territory, outside of St. Augustine, north of St. Augustine, which is the first, I think, city in the United States, which was under the Spanish at the time. So just a lot of things coming up on the forum, interesting people coming down the road. One of my colleagues, Catalina Rojas Blanco, is going to be another interview in Spanish. We're going to discuss her dissertation, Las Almas Negras, which talks about Afro-Colombian women writers. Should be a very interesting discussion. Ramon Muñiz Sarmiento is also going to come back onto the show, another Spanish language interview. So we just have a lot of different types of content on the forum, some cultural, some political, and some things in between. But enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk soon. Cheers, everybody.
You saw the hair grease?